Alright, gentlemen, I have painstakingly watched from the beginning to the end every bit of the documentary posted by BBC concerning Biafran War 1967, and with a heavy heart I'm making this video. It is important to know when history is being written or rewritten in your own eyes and you are not saying anything about it. A video that is captioned Biafran Documentary 1967 posted by a big channel like BBC is history being written in your own eyes. It's important for you to say something when it is going on. Now, from my own end, watching every bit of that video, I strongly believe that the veterans that were featured in that video, they said exactly their mind and they were not necessarily influenced by anybody. But then, it is still important to state some things right. This veteran from the Nigerian troop end, he was saying that there was a coup and there was a counter coup. The coup eliminated some northern people and the counter coup eliminated some eastern people, and there was a crisis and the Biafra declared republic. Then Nigeria prepared a counter attack. The question is, was Nigeria really counter-attacking or was Nigeria attacking? Who first attacked? Now from the documentary, the man stated like as if the Biafrans attacked the northern territory first and the northern territory prepared for a counter-attack. No. The Nigerian troop attacked the Biafrans first and they wanted to capture Ojukwu. Why did they want to capture Ojukwu? Because Ojukwu has declared Republic of Biafra. It was on May 30th, 1967 that Ojukwu declared Republic of Biafra. Why did he declare Republic of Biafra? It's because 3 days before that May 30th, May 27th, General Yakubu Gowon divided the East into 3. After dividing the East, he's blockaded Biafra. This prevented Biafra from getting resources, getting food and everything. So in response to the division and the blockade, Ojukwu declared Republic of Biafra. Why did Gowon blockade and divide the East? Gowon blockaded and divided the East because Ojukwu and Gowon, they had an agreement in Aburi in Ghana, how they are going to distribute power and how going to own resources. And that was in January 1967. After the agreement, they called it Aburi Accord. Accord means agreement. But then later, Yakubu Gowon now said that it was not an agreement, it was a framework of discussion that needed to be refined. Then Ojukwu insisted that it is an agreement and it must stand. That is where their problem started. Who did the first attack? Nigerian troop did the first attack against Biafras and they retaliated. When I'm talking about first attack, I'm not talking about the first coup, the second coup. I'm not talking about the movement of Igbos must leave the northern territories that resulted to the death of over 30,000 of the Igbos and over 2 million of them were displaced. No, the first attack I'm talking about is the first military attack against a particular entity, either against Nigeria or either Biafra. The first military attack was carried out by the Nigerian troop against the Biafran troop, and this was a mission to capture Odumegwu Ojukwu because he declared Republic of Biafra on May 1967. Now, in the same documentary, this is a footage of General Yakubu Gowon being asked, would there be need for military action to capture Ojukwu, and he said yes. Secondly, the same veteran on the Nigerian troop that said that Nigerian troop only did a counter-attack, he is still the one that said that Biafran troop, they were setting traps for them. So, we are Biafran setting trap for you in the northern territory? No, they set trap for you in their home because you came to attack them in their home. And lastly, the fight did not happen in the northern territories, it actually happened in Biafran land. So, you came to attack them, to apprehend their leader, to subdue them, to bring them to your own agreement, but then they were retaliating because they refused. I'm going to upload BBC for being able to bring different footages that were just scattered everywhere so people can go and watch. But the most important things about the documentary were not breathed out, which is number one, what was really the cause of the disagreement of the Abreu Accord? And secondly, what was the main thing that led to the death of over 3 million people? Is because the Nigerian troop, they blockaded the Biafrans and they were not able to be getting food resources, water, they were not able to get anything. That was what caused the death of most of the Biafrans. Number 3, the documentary did not cover the Asaba massacre, which is very, very significant because all of us, we claim we want one Nigeria. And the whole of the essence of the fight is that Gowon was shouting one Nigeria. The full meaning of Gowon, they were shouting those times, is go on with one Nigeria. But then if you are claiming that we want one Nigeria, but the Asaba massacre was actually real, then it says a lot about the one Nigeria that we claim. Number 4, they did not mention the role that Britain played in the whole of everything, which is very, very important. But then I'm going to amplify what this Nigerian veteran said. He said that Britain had the power to stop the war, but no, they fueled it because they were fighting for their own personal interests, and that is the truth. Fast forward to 2026, it's important to know that after everything happened, there was OPUTA panel where they debated everything that happened. That debate, the people that added the Igbo names in the list that said that these were the people that plotted the first coup, they were not able to answer even simple questions about the names they listed, which simply suggests that everything was all lies. But again, according to the book released by IBB recently, he acknowledged on his own that that coup was not necessarily an Igbo coup. As at this point now, after watching the documentary posted by BBC and everything happened, I think the entire Nigerian people owe these people an apology. Before the end of this video, you will have answers to these 10 questions. Number 1, who is the victim and the villain in the story? Number 2, how it started and how it ended? Number 3, anytime you search about the civil works, you are going to see this photo. What is the significance of this photo? Number 4, you have always heard about Aburi Accord. What has Aburi Accord has to do with this? 5, at the end, it was declared no victor and no vanquish. Why was it declared like that? Number 6, for some Eastern people that always say, I'm not Igbo, anything where they go on no concern me. General Yakubu Gowon divided the East in 1967, and I'm going to tell you why. Number 7, you have always heard this saying that why the fight was going on in the East, that the North was very peaceful. Why is it like that? Number 8, the Yoruba community never directly or indirectly got involved in the fight. Why is it like that? Number 9, Mazen Nnamdi Kanu always called the Yoruba community cowards. Why does he say so? And number 10, why is he say that an Igbo man should never be president in Nigeria? Let's go. It's important to know that before everything started, the Northern community, the Eastern community were all independent. Independent in the sense that they had their own judiciary, they had their own head of state, which today we call the president, and they called it their regional governors. So the Eastern regional governor, the Northern regional governor. They had their military governors, which today we call the military chiefs, like chief of defense staff, chief of army staff in the country. So these people were independent entities. The 15th day of January 1966, there was a coup to overthrow the leadership of the northern head of state, Tafawa Balewa. This coup was profiled to be caused by the Igbo generals in the north, but Chukwuemeka Ojukwu, being the eastern regional governor, he said no, that they did not have any hand in that coup, so he declined. Roughly 6 months later, on July 29th, 1966, the northern community plotted another coup to revenge their previous coup of whatever that happened. Coup eliminated Agu Ironsi as the head of state. But because the media and the people has been fed with the information that the first coup was called by Igbo generals in the north, so it caused an outrage in the northern people. They started the movement of the Igbos must leave the northern territories. So this lasted for several months, getting to a year. About 30,000 of the Igbos in the northern states were unalived, and over 2 million of the Igbos in the northern state were displaced to go back to the eastern state. Because of that, the eastern people started unaliving the northern people in the east too, as a revenge of what is being done to their brothers in the north. At this level, the Biafra Civil War has not yet started. This was going on. The northern head of state called a meeting for all the regional governors to come so that they can find a solution to what is going on. But Ojukwu, being the eastern regional governor, said he was not going to attend. His reason was his people were wrongfully accused and profiled to have plotted a coup that they never did, and this has led to the death of thousands of his people. And secondly, he was conscious of his security too. Ojukwu suggested that if truly that they wanted peace, that the meeting should be held outside Nigeria because he was security conscious, and they agreed on having the meeting in Aburi. The reason why they had the meeting in Aburi is that Aburi is a local name, and the interpretation of Aburi is a place of peace and a place of agreement, so they choose that place to have the meeting. January 4th and January 5th, 1967, this has now extended to the next year. All of them flew to Aburi for the meeting. The northern head of state, General Yakubu Gowon, he came with his military governors, which today we call military chiefs. The eastern regional governor, Odumegwu Ojukwu, he came with his own military governors today, which we call military chiefs, and they had the meeting. This meeting, called the Aburi Accord, they discussed topics like, for one, how are we going to solve the crisis that is going on between the northerners and the easterners? Number 2, how are we going to distribute power? Number 3, what's going to be happening to resources of a particular territory? And they agreed on these facts. Number 1, there is no need for continuous violence that is already going on, that they have chosen to make peace within themselves. Number 2, every region will have their own military power, but there will be a supreme military power, which will only be involved when the situation on hand has to do with the country at large. On the part of the resources, they agreed that each region, whether northern region or eastern region, will have autonomous ownership and management of their own resources. After this agreement, what a lot of people don't know is that they actually drank, they said cheers, they snapped together, we have actualized peace in this thing, and they fled. As they agreed in that meeting and left, there is a set of people who don't see Nigerians as people, but they see Nigeria as a real estate company. Read them presume that the agreement on autonomous ownership of resources will actually deprive them of some of their own portion, so they disagreed. They called Yakubu Gowon and said, this thing that you people agreed no really makes sense. The next day, General Yakubu Gowon told the northern people that the agreement that they had in Aburi was not an agreement, it was just a framework of discussion that needs to be refined. Ojukwu responded and said, the Aburi was an agreement, Aburi Accord. The meaning of accord mean agreement. We actually agreed. It was not a framework or discussion. And that is when this picture that you always seen was taken. Ojukwu was seen holding the document on his hand. He said, this is Aburi Accord and Aburi must stand. As this was going on, Britain with the supreme leadership in Nigeria, they gave Yakubu Gowon supremacy over other regions. Remember in the beginning of this video, I told you that both the eastern, the northern region, all of these were independent entities. entities. At this time now, they are giving Yakubu Gowon, the northern entity, supremacy over other people. Then the eastern regional governor Ojukwu said no. Next, General Yakubu Gowon moved to accuse Odumegwu Ojukwu of being a stubborn dictator who wants to control all the ethnic groups in the eastern community. After this accusation, some people in the eastern community agreed with Gowon and disagreed with Ojukwu, caused a division in the eastern community. And on May 27, 1967, General Yakubu Gowon came to the eastern community and divided the eastern community. Divided the eastern region into southeastern states, the east central, and the river states. In response to this, just 3 days later, on May 30th, 1967, Ojukwu was like, "You have divided our states, you have barricaded us, we are not going to be dependent on anybody." So he declared Republic of Biafra on May 30th, 1967. This declaration was made from a radio station in Enugu State, and Britain with the northern military was like, "These people are going mad, we have to take actions." Just 3 months later, on July 6, 1967, they launched the first attack in Enugu. And that was when the first gunshot of the civil war sounded. The eastern community, in the mindset that we are ready to defend ourselves, they sounded their own gunshot too, and it all started. Now they're saying that while the fight was going on, the north was peaceful and the east was chaotic. Why is it like that? As United States and Iran are fighting, the United States is as peaceful as possible. Why? Because United States is the one launching attack on Iran soil, and that's exactly what happened in 1967. It's the Nigerian troop that launched attack on the Biafran soil, and they were defending on their own land. So the fight happened on Biafran soil. The fight was going on. Yakubu Gowon was even attending ceremonies. Remember, Nigerian troop is the one attacking in the east, and the easterns are retaliating in defense. How the fight was proceeding is that some eastern leaders will get information that Nigerian troop is coming to this location, so the women and the children in that location will be evacuated. The men in that place will stand to defend. It will be insensitive of me to tell the whole of the story without mentioning the Asaba massacre. October 5th and October 6th, 1967, there was an information in Asaba that the Nigerian troop, they are coming to Asaba, so we need to evacuate the women and the children so that the men can stand and fight. But they said no, we are not going to fight again, we choose peace. They wore white garments, which is signifying peace, stood there and waited for Nigerian troop to come. When Nigerian troop came to Asaba, the peace was not peacing. They did exactly the opposite. Armless men, armless women, armless children, they separated them. Women stay one side, children stay one side, and the men stay one side. And the greatest of the mayhem that has ever happened in Nigeria happened on that fateful day. A group of people that wore white garment that signifies peace, we want peace, they were grouped and they opened on them. Go to Asaba, you will see their names are all there. There's no need to be emotional in the story. We are here to state first, so let's get into it. This fight proceeded from 1967, 1968, 1969. At this point in the fight, the Biafran troop were becoming very, very strong. Strong enough to push the Nigerian troop out from their territories, and they started penetrating some of the northern territories. At this point, Britain was like, these people. Remember, the interest of Britain in the whole of this thing is not necessarily the people. They are protecting their marked out resources in Nigeria. So they have to take side with the people that are going to win, that are going to give them access to what they want. They brought a proposal to Ojukwu. We are going to support you on this agreement, on this agreement. That was when Ojukwu said this statement: "I am not going to win a war where I will still be subject to you. Go and tell Gowon to retreat and surrender. I am not retreating, I am not surrendering." So they left. They brought the same proposal to the Nigerian troop, and eventually they accepted. As they accepted, Britain with advanced troops collided with Nigerian government, and on January 7th, 1970, they penetrated the east and did the undoable. Hundreds of thousands of people. I can't even imagine what it looks like. Civilian, women, children, everybody. The leader of the eastern region, Odumegwu Ojukwu, seeing that the pressure has become too much, so he escaped. He fled on exile. He ran to Cote d'Ivoire. The Biafran army, seeing that they can't withstand the pressure, all of them had to surrender. After surrendering, Gowon declared war Nigeria and declared no victor and no vanquish. Why it was declared no victor and no vanquish was, one, Nigeria never won a war against Biafra. It was Britain that did so. And secondly, you cannot declare victory over a fight where the leader of the fight is still alive. Odumegwu Ojukwu was still alive in Cote d'Ivoire, so they couldn't declare victory. There's no option than to declare no victor and no vanquish. Now, all the Biafran people were stripped of all their properties, their investment, everything that they had, and each of them were given 20 pounds. The significance of this is because these people are resilient, they are very strong, manufacturing weapons on their own. So let's strip them of everything that they have so that it will take them time to grow up again. January 15th, 1970. It ended. The villain in this story is the person that plotted everything, which is Britain. Who is the victim? The Biafrans, the eastern people, were the victim. They suffered everything. I remember in the beginning of everything started with an accusation that you people plotted a coup. and they never even plotted it in the first place. Why an Igbo man should never become president in this country is because why the Yoruba community has always agreed with whatever Britain said, the Northern community has always agreed with whatever Britain said. Easterns, the Igbos has always disagreed with Britain every time. There is high chances that if an Igbo person become president in this country, maybe that same day will be the day that Nigeria will chase Britain away from Nigeria, just the same way Burkina Faso chase France away from Burkina Faso. Important to know that this is Yakubu Gowon when this thing happened. This is Yakubu Gowon today. This is Ibrahim Babangida when this thing happened. This is Ibrahim Babangida today. You that is in your own prime today, you are plotting on today's own. You are still going to join this same route. You know, pass like that. Peace and love.